Hello, guys. I don't know. I think I missed the whole action yesterday. It was rugby and everything. But I think I saw somebody made post a TikTok yesterday while she was in the toilet. Guys. That person deserves really a medal for for the most outrageous TikToks. It was, yeah, it was mind blowing funny. Anyway, anyway, back to my story. Um, I end up trying to dance in the rain. While I told you that my mother and father was divorced, but she took care of him anyway. For all these years, he was still living with us, and she was like really there for him. You couldn't say anything. She was there for him. And my father wasn't the very easiest person. Very abusive towards her, very abusive towards us. Growing up with that man was horrible. We didn't have a easy relationship. Actually, we didn't have any relationship at all because I was the child that always wanted to stand up for everybody else. Uh, if he used vulgar language or if he was abusive, or I would stand up to him. So we really didn't have a good relationship. Um, as soon as I got married and I moved out of the house, um, he would come to my house all the time. When I was drunk, I would say, bye bye. See you when you are sober. But it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy for me to have a relationship with him. But guys, I remember I was admitted in Bloemke and I was 44, I think, at that time. And I was talking about him in Bloemke, the way I was always fighting him. And I always had this thing that I said that I don't want to be like my father because I found that I have a very strong personality. And knowing my father and knowing me, I always would um, feel like if I say something to someone, then I would immediately say sorry. I didn't intend it to come out like that. I was forever apologizing to everybody, guys, and I learned that I found I inherited some good qualities from him. I have leadership skills. I inherited it from him, and I'm grateful for all the good qualities that I inherited from him. From him, I look also a lot like him. My sons look like him. So yeah. Um. So guys, when my mother passed on, I must tell you, God, God is amazing, and the transformation that He took my father through was phenomenal, guys. That day on a funeral, my father fell and he hit his shoulder. He had to go to the doctor. He hit his head. I think he had some sort of a um, what do you call when somebody forgets stuff? Amnesia. He had some sort of amnesia. So he wasn't there at the funeral. He was at the hospital. They tried to fix him, take him to the doctor. And he came back later. And guys, the person that came back was a total different person. He came, he thanked me for the funeral and the way I handled it, and told me that he's very proud of me. Um, I tried to juggle it for a month or so, but I couldn't. I couldn't go from my house to his house, and he couldn't take care of himself. So I had to bring him to stay with us. God really made beauty out of ashes, because the man that I brought into my house, I had the honor of meeting a total new person. I had the honor to see him for who he really was. You know what, guys? It was my biggest consolation in that time. That was him. I know he doesn't have to say. He didn't have to say anything. He doesn't have to do anything. He was just there, and his presence was so comforting to me. He stopped drinking. He stopped totally to drink. He was around. He would say, when I come from work and I'm tired, and he'll tell me, "Don't worry, we can eat bread and tea. It's no problem. Just don't worry. Why do you stress so much?" Would say stuff like that. In the mornings, when it's weekends, we would watch TBN, and he liked Joseph Prince. I don't know. Joseph Prince sometimes his preaches are very difficult. Um, but my father was bright, so he would always say, when he's a Chinaman coming on, he really liked Joseph Prince. He enjoyed his preachings. We would drink tea, and he had a difficulty moving, kind of like he was like not stable on his feet. They took him to the doctor. The doctor said that it is because of all the alcohol and the years of neglecting. So the small brain was like affected, and that's what causes him. And he had some sort of um, a lung disorder. But he tried to smoke less. He smoked lesser, and we now could have conversations. I I really admired him. My gosh, I felt all these years that I talked so bad about him, and everybody was thinking the worst of him. This rudeness that he put on was just a way of protecting himself, and because he wasn't working, and all that stuff, people made him feel like he's a nothing. And I felt so I felt such a pity for him in my heart. I felt such love for him. I am so grateful for God that He gave me this chance as a grown up to take care of him, and to meet this man that my mother fell in love with, and that she still sees all those years, and that's why she kept him and she looked after him, because he really wasn't that bad at all. He was so caring. There was this lady that stayed across around the corner where my mother used to stay, and her husband was my father's friend, but my father took her on as his responsibility. Every morning he would go to her house. She had a shebeen, but he will go 5 o'clock in the morning. It wasn't necessarily for the alcohol, guys. I found out later it was just, hey, get up, open the shebeen, because that's where people sit, and where they. That's when I realized, guys, people don't go to shebeen all the time to get drunk and just to be. It's where they feel comfortable, because people actually give them attention and they talk to them, and so yeah, it's a church for those people. So guys, we must be careful not to judge people so easy. And I've learned my lesson with my father. Guys, I'm very honestly, I'm very, very grateful for the Lord, for letting me know, in choosing me to see this part of him. Um, I took care of him for 3 years, and then he died tragically. But before his death, with my mother's funeral, he told me that he doesn't want the normal funeral. He wants cremation. So the idea was not foreign to me because his father before him was cremated. So and I understand it now. Um, why you want to be cremated? I'll tell you about it. Why I think it's the way to go, and I'll tell you about the story about his funeral tomorrow. Bye bye.